Tires, start your engine!
Tuning up your work week. It's MRN Motorsports Monday, presented by Outback Steakhouse and brought to you by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Warning, please keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times and do not feed the host. Here's Woody Kane and Joey Meyer.
MRN Motorsports Monday, Labor Day edition, following Throwback Weekend at Darlington, and this guy and his driver, Brad Keselowski, sweep the weekend. It was the first ever Xfinity Series win for Team Penske, and the first, I think, since the mid-'70s for Team Penske on the Cup side. So, congratulations.
1975, Bobby Allison was the last Team Penske driver to win at Darlington. First time ever for the Xfinity, which starts out as the Busch Series Sportsman Division. The Busch Series, the Nationwide Series, the Xfinity Series. We were finally able. We've run good there in the past. We haven't been able to close it and capture it, and to do it in a double weekend, throwback weekend. You know, the throwback weekend is so unique because what's actually lost, and we don't hear a lot about this, is it's not just about old paint schemes.
No.
It's really about respecting our past. You've got guys as old as Rex White there. I think they said something like 342 modified victories. And you have guys as fresh as Ron Hornaday and Steve Park, who came into the sport right when I did in the mid-'90s. But it's really about a level of respect, because if those guys did bad things, we wouldn't want to honor them, right?
Yeah.
But they represented the sport at a very high level, and we're trying to transfer that to current time to keep representing our sport at a high level. So it's really about a respect, and the way we can do that and honor those guys is the different paint schemes and what they represented in their era. Our paint scheme was a Miller Genuine Draft, which Rusty drove really as the 27 car. It wasn't the 2 car, but it was a paint scheme. It was one of the first times Miller had been in the sport. The car that Joey Logano had, I worked on that car. It was really cool.
That was the old DEI days.
DEI car. So Steve Park was there, you know, and you saw different Ernie Irvin with Kyle Busch. It was really, it's surreal because
it's like homecoming for your family.
It's exactly right. You had drivers that actually threw back and was able, and man, just lost my mind for a second, but he was able to run his old original paint scheme. We saw it a couple years ago with Derek Cope running his old Purolator paint scheme. And that's really cool to know that you've been in the sport long enough that you can actually represent yourself in the throwback scheme of things. So it's really an awesome weekend. Our second oldest track, I believe, 1947 was Martinsville, 1950 for Darlington. So one of our oldest tracks, our longest running super speedway, over a mile. Speeds were amazing. Tire fall off, pitch strategy. I thought, again, was it side by side for 347 laps? No. 367 was it? Yeah, 367.
Yeah. The first two stages flew by
because the guy leading the race was really good.
Yeah.
We also had a gentleman on stage during the pre-race yesterday that set the record for winning the Darlington Southern 500 race. By how many?
By 14 laps.
14 laps.
And I've been told on Twitter repeatedly that that's not possible because back in those days, we finished 40 wide at the stripe, backwards and on fire every single week.
Every single week was the greatest racing ever. He led and won by 14 laps. I mean, that's
Stop making stuff up, Joey.
Right. So to have a race yesterday where we saw minimal lead changes, really a dominating performance by Kyle Larson, but the little teams, the little engines that kept moving forward. Brad started 13th, was in the top 5 in the first stage, second in the second stage, just kept moving forward. But a lot of guys were migrating to him, and we got better throughout the night as well as other cars did. Larson, I don't know if you've heard some communications, but his car was good, but it didn't get better, it didn't get worse. It was just the same all night long.
And nobody could touch him until we got to that third stage, and ultimately it came down to the money stop, and the 2 crew got him off pit road by a nose, and that was a big, big difference because then he gets the preferred lane and controls the restart.
Yeah, and our guys have been really good on pit road. We haven't been really great. They've been making some small minor adjustments, and last night's last pit stop was the great one. I believe it was under 13 seconds, which now since we've removed a tire carrier, we have a jack man placing a tire in the rear tire carrier. We've removed one guy on pit road. Having a sub 13-second pit stop is outstanding. And again, on the Saturday, really, if you showed up at Darlington this weekend with DC Solar on your car, that was a really good idea.
Was, counting Ross Chastain in the Xfinity race.
We have a guy that's driving for a lower-funded team over at JD Motorsports, doing a really good job with an opportunity to make his way into the playoffs. He has a 3-race opportunity to drive a higher-funded car over at Chip Ganassi, sits on the pole, leads the first 2 stages, and leading the race when him and Kevin Harvick get in a skirmish. and it opens the door for Brad, who was running third at the time. But just an amazing weekend with 2 different races and the whole throwback scheme with, again, a level of respect to our past. It's just a fantastic idea. For the first time ever in my career, my son sat beside me.
Yeah, I met him earlier that day. Yeah, that was really cool.
He was able to stand by me. He's 29. He's not a young kid anymore, but he wore a headset and was able to watch what I do, which is really cool to bring your kid to work day, right?
Yeah.
I did it with my kid. My dad, he used to wear a hard hat in the construction site. But then to be able to win the race and bring him to victory lane and get a picture with Brad. I gave him a couple of hats, and that's just something that you cherish for the rest of your life.
Forever memories, no question about it. All right, you mentioned Brad Keselowski, the driver. Let's hear what he had to say after the big victory at Darlington.
What was the difference at the end of the race in addition to the pit stop?
Well, the whole race long, Winston, we had a great short run car, and we were falling off a little bit on long runs, not a lot, but that was Kyle Larson's strength, and then we were able to keep up with him there towards the end of them short runs, and then my pit crew, they nailed that last stop and put us in position. And I knew if we could get to the out front and in the clean air that we had enough short run speed to drive away, and sure enough we did with the MGD Ford. So, wow, that was awesome.
Yesterday you said how big a deal it was to win at Darlington. Now you have at the top level, and it's been 43 years since Roger Penske took a car to victory lane here at Darlington. What's that feeling like?
It's pretty darn special. I mean, this is as good as it gets to win a major event like Darlington, and have no illusions. This is still one of the biggest, baddest NASCAR tracks there is, and we won. We won here. That's so cool.
Our Winston Kelly in victory lane with Brad Keselowski. And don't forget, as Joey mentioned, the special paint scheme that they had is the old 27 car. It was the 2 for this because that's Brad's now, from Rusty Wallace's days. And we'll hear a little bit from Rusty interacting with Brad later on in the program. But you can get that race-winning diecast of Brad Keselowski's winning car at Darlington, as well as all the race-winning and other diecasts at PlanBSales.com. Check them out there, and these are special. The throwback ones are more special than the lot of the ones that we see through the year. Not that those aren't, but these have even more nostalgia.
What a great looking car, and you don't realize how cool or how much you miss the white letters on the Goodyear tires.
I bet.
You know what I mean? Until you see it, because that reminds me, every short track you go to, whether it said McCrary or Hoosier or All-Star or General or Goodyear, there were white letter tires, and that's what you grew up with. And again, if anybody follows me on Twitter, I've got my airplane. I got Brad's airplane with new Goodyear tires, and I've outlined them in white letters. It just looks cool. And you see that car sitting there and with the American flag hanging out of it with the white Goodyears on it. Man, it's really cool.
Fantastic. We got a big show coming up for you. Don't forget, it's also a Bloomin' Monday, because another top 10 for Kevin Harvick. Go by Outback Steakhouse. Tell him you want the free Bloomin' Onion, because he keeps paying it off and finishing in the top 10. They got a great steak and lobster special going on right now, a couple of new beers on tap, all kinds of great stuff at Outback. We've got a big show coming up here on MRN Motorsports Monday. As we said, we'll hear Rusty Wallace's interaction with Brad Keselowski a little bit later. We'll talk about the Xfinity Series race, on track, off track, and Indianapolis is coming up. That's the last race of the regular season on the Cup side. We'll talk about it all on MRN Motorsports Monday.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo! I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse, blooming great.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Kyle Petty here. My friends at Click & Close, the official mortgage provider of NASCAR, have stepped up this year to support Victory Junction through the fastest lap of the race program on NASCAR radio. So join our team. Go to clickandclose.com/NASCAR today to donate $43 or more and help us give the gift of camp to children with serious medical conditions. That's clickandclose.com/NASCAR, and just look for the Victory Junction logo. Thanks to Click & Close and NASCAR Radio for their support this season.
A big basket of
of playoff momentum on the way, and a shot at the Darlington double. Brad Keselowski off turn 2 for the final time, looking to win the Southern 500.
Fans are waving their hats and waving him on to victory lane. Here's Brad Keselowski for the final time off the end of the back straightaway, about to give Team Penske a 1-2 punch here at the track too tough to tame.
You're racing a 29-race winless streak. Brad Keselowski gets it done at the track too tough to tame. He tames Darlington, winning the Bojangles Southern 500.
Dave Moody, Mike Bagley, and Joe Moore with a call on the Motor Racing Network Sunday night at Darlington Raceway. And the one thing that I latched onto there that Dave said, playoff momentum. Getting hot at the right time. You guys have been close to getting a win a couple of times this year. Haven't gotten over the hump until now. Is this momentum headed to the playoffs?
Anytime you have momentum, you like it.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't have it, it's like, it's not a big deal.
Yep.
It's and that's what we have. We have the momentum going into the Indy race with race number 26 before the last 10, and we're trying to get to Homestead, which is the 10th race of our season. It wasn't like we pulled this pin and all of a sudden, okay, we're going to turn. We have a momentum switch, right?
Right.
But everybody feels better when you run good, and when you run good, everybody feels better. It's a circle. It's a circle of life.
And it kind of keeps things going.
That's exactly right. But one of the things that's kind of overlooked now is that we have a win. Our place in the point seedings for the playoffs is more to where we were, where our points were.
Right.
Before, we were going to have Austin Dillon, the Kurt Bushes, the Eric Joneses ahead of us in the seeding because we didn't have a win. By having that one win, it allows us to go back and line up where our points are. Currently 5th in points behind Boyer, who has 2 wins.
It's not just points, it's with the playoff seedings and all that mixed in.
Right now, we're the first car highest in seedings with 1 win. We actually jumped our teammate, who's Joey Logano, because we have more playoff points by 1 point
from winning stages.
So you have 7 potential points, 1 for each stage, 5 for the win next week at Indy. That everybody in this group right here, because we're stacked on top of each other, we have 5 playoff points, 7, 8, 9 from 5th to 10th. It's very close gathering. So 7 points would matter between going 5th or 10th or 11th or even being able to jump. So that's a really big thing for this 1 win. And just like they said, Dave Moody said, it was a 29-race winless streak. You start feeling that pressure because you don't want to be. Jimmy's feeling it right now. It's been over a year.
Jimmy Johnson.
Exactly right. Our year was coming up in October at Talladega was our last victory. There's no more talk about that right now.
Right.
Now we're on a
What have you done for me lately?
Well, now we're on a 1-race streak. We're on a streak.
Yeah.
We
of one.
of one. Right. We were on a winless streak up until Sunday night. Now we're on a winning streak. And when you have it, you hold on to it as tight as you can because you don't want to let it go.
Well, the positive, too, is I chatted with your crew chief, Paul Wolf, on Sunday because you guys finished 2nd at Indianapolis a year ago. Casey Kane won that race, but you're going back to a place you've run well. Now you've got the win under your belt, and everybody's feeling good, a little extra pep in the step, and going to a track where you were good 1 year ago. So that's got to help a little bit, right?
When you don't win, you always question yourself. When you question yourself, you question others automatically. It's just natural because you feel like, okay, what am I doing wrong? And you self-analyze and you look in that mirror and you say, I'm not doing anything wrong that I'm aware of.
It must be that guy.
It must be that guy. And then you start analyzing him and nitpicking everything about it. I've said it 100 times, and if anybody wants to listen to MR.com, go back and search marriage. This is a marriage. Whether it's between Brad and myself, Brad and Paul and the team and Brad, whatever, it's a marriage. So when everything's good, you can deal with your steak if it's not perfectly cooked.
Yep.
But when the marriage starts going wrong and you question yourself, that steak becomes overcooked or rare, right?
And why did you do this?
Exactly right. So this kind of mentality moving forward from Indy, we now know everybody's done their job. The pit crew, Paul, Brad, the guy on the roof, the owner, everybody at Team Penske. We finished 1-2 yesterday, not a bad day. You have that mentality of going, we can do this.
Yeah.
And you can't. That's what the 48 is lacking. They're questioning themselves internally, not externally, because again, Chad didn't forget, Jimmy didn't forget,
right.
Hendrick is still performing. All the pieces are there, but for some reason that jigsaw puzzle's missing one, and they're still looking, they're questioning it.
All right, hold that thought, and let's segue here to On Track, Off Track, the part of the program where we talk about things going well in the sport and some things not going quite so well. Let's start with on track for you. What's tripping your trigger?
You know, one of the things we talked about earlier just a second ago, the white lettered Goodyears, man, those Goodyear tires look friggin' awesome. But one of the things that's really overlooked is the combination of the tire and the asphalt that Goodyear has designed around that race. We have speeds separating themselves from new tires to old tires over 15 miles an hour, 3 to 4 seconds a lap.
And pretty quickly, too.
Exactly right. We run 10 laps, caution comes out, you're coming down and getting 4 more tires. What's really intriguing is that we can have that much fall off and that much abrasion, and Goodyear brings a tire that doesn't fail. We had no tire failures yesterday due to being overused or abused or overheated.
Yeah.
We had tire failures for hitting the wall and rubbing or misalignment on setups or whatever, but nothing from a tire failure. That's an amazing combination that Goodyear has brought that allows these guys to race. And again, pit strategies were amazing. And what do I mean by that? There were certain times that guys were going to make 2 stops at the end of the race or 3 stops.
Right.
Well, 3 stops, that doesn't make any sense. You're going to come down pit road 1 extra time.
But
your newer tires are so much faster. You can actually make up all the time plus more by coming down and getting it. We saw Brad Keselowski do that and Paul Wolfe at the second stage. We gave up 4th or 5th position to come down and pit off sequence with the guys, and we're able to go back to 2nd. And that was a very impressive run. And the only way that works is if the Goodyear tire does what it's supposed to.
It's amazing what a difference it makes for sure. And kudos to Goodyear. That came after a test. It was a new combo this year that they had at Darlington for both the Cup and Xfinity side, and it worked out very, very well. For me, on track, just a little bit more on what you said a moment ago about the nostalgia of Throwback Weekend. It's not just the paint on the cars. That's cool. It's great. We all love it. It's not just seeing all the legends of the sport there participating. But one of the things that grabs me is guys are growing out sideburns. They're growing big mustaches. They're putting on the old school uniforms with the white pants and the red pants like they had back in the day. Even the fans are getting into it. You see all kinds of throwback shirts from them as well. It's like a huge homecoming for the sport. It's fantastic. I hope it continues. For a while, we were wondering how they could sustain the momentum with that, but now it looks like everybody is on board, and it's really, really cool. Love seeing it.
Yeah, it's almost like a Halloween day. But but it's a Halloween with.
We're even still doing it right now.
But it's a show of respect to our past, and whether it's your elders or the past history of the sport, it's the best way we can do it.
All right, what about off track? What is not going quite so well?
Kind of made mention of it, and again, I've said again. If you look back MRN.com, search Motorsports Monday for the last 6 years, you can go back and search how many times I've said this. Chad Knaus and Jimmy Johnson will win 8 championships. I firmly believe as long as they stayed together, they had that capability. He was that good. Chad was that good. Hendrick Motorsports was that good. Something's gone wrong. They're missing.
It seemed like they were moving in the right direction.
Yep. And then the thing that's confusing is in the beginning of the year, none of the 4 cars at Hendrick Motorsports was good. We've now seen Chase Elliott win a race and run top 5 for most of the evening.
Yeah, he finished 5th at Darlington.
Exactly right. We've seen Kyle Larson clearly have speed in his Chevrolet over at Chip Ganassi Racing. We can't blame the manufacturer car anymore.
Getting used to it or getting it figured out.
That body style is showing speed. So what puzzle piece are they missing? And it's really just a matter of looking in the mirror and saying, I'm doing what I can do. Let everybody else do what they can do and look in their own mirror. Because yesterday was really between a loose wheel and missing pit road and having a mechanical failure. Like they couldn't have come up with more options to do.
Those are the things that they never did when they're winning 7 championships.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But they couldn't have done more things yesterday to be wrong.
Yeah,
it was really because the actual car, they were going in the right direction during the race. But really, I hate to see it myself because of what they. Again, history, respecting my elders, what they bring to that sport and the history of it. I still believe 8 championships is in their reach. Chad just re-signed that contract not too long ago, going in 3 years. I think it's through 2020 with Jimmy or so forth. But as long as they stay together, I still believe they can do it. Now's the time to start, guys.
Yeah. The playoffs are almost here, and they are right now 15th out of 16 guys headed to the playoffs. And with a really bad finish or somebody who is outside and has not won yet, if they get a victory, he's going to be on the hot seat for sure, headed to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. All right, we got to take another time out on Motorsports Monday. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the Xfinity Series race, and we'll look ahead to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the last race of the regular season.
Grunt style. The American fighting spirit is in everything we make. We are 500 patriots and veterans strong, bringing clothing manufacturing back to the United States of America. Always moving forward, never retreating, never giving up. We are Grunt Style, and this we'll defend. Get yours at gruntstyle.com.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse. Blooming great!
Things happen fast in racing, and if you don't know where to look, you can miss it all. With Legend from Racing Electronics, you'll never miss another moment. Legend gives you live fan vision video, in-car cameras, and stats at NASCAR and other Premier Series events. And the next generation race scanner for unfiltered driver and crew audio at any motorsports event nationwide. NASCAR fans have never been closer to the action. Welcome to the future of the fan experience. Learn more by visiting racingelectronics.com.
It's been virtually a perfect afternoon for Brad Keselowski. Big lead in hand as he hits the backstretch for the final time.
He'll go to the inside on the middle of the backstretch, put one more lap on another machine. Brad Keselowski trying to pull away. He's free and clear of lap traffic in turn 4.
Brad Keselowski right along the outside barrier off turn number 4. Checkered flag is in the air, and that's it. Brad Keselowski wins the Sport Clips Haircuts BFW 200 here at Darlington.
Dave Moody, Alex Hayden, and Steve Post on the Motor Racing Network Saturday afternoon as Brad Keselowski gets the first race of the weekend sweep at the track Too Tough to Tame. You worked that race as well. I think you told me last week that was the last one for Brad on the Xfinity side this season. But how did that happen? The car was good all day, but there was some kind of duel going on up front between Kevin Harvick and Ross Chastain, and you guys were in the right place at the right time.
After you rewind this podcast, you'll hear us talk about if your car had DC solar on the side of it, it was a good thing to start the weekend out. Ross Chastain, in a limited run over at Chip Ganassi Racing, sat on the pole, led the first 2 stages, and was doing a very good job. Kevin Harvick and those guys got tangled up exiting turn 2 with a lap car. They went 3 wide. Kevin was on the very bottom. You can fight on which side of the fence you want to be on. I don't like any time a outsider comes into my house and breaks something. Okay.
So who's the outsider?
Well, I think Kevin Harvick is the outsider. I think Kevin Harvick is running a limited schedule. He's a past Cup champion with 6 or 7 wins this year. I think he's the outsider. Now, whether he's...
No, I asked because some people, and I'm sure you saw it on social media, who said, well, this kid was just driving over his head and didn't know what he was doing there.
The comment about the limited lack of experience that Tyler has, or Ross has, that's what the Xfinity Series is for.
Right.
That's what
names
that
are made
is for.
here.
Exactly right. He was doing everything he did. Now, did he make a mistake? We could critique and say he made a mistake, but he was doing a really good job. I wish Kevin would have chosen, because we weren't coming to the checkered flag.
No, that was several laps away from the end.
Like 35, I believe, still to go. There was a little aggressiveness, and that's Kevin's nature, man. And if I'm on his team, I don't fault him whatsoever. He's
trying to win.
Exactly right. He's trying to win. Did he do anything wrong? No. Could he have done something different? Yes. But Ross Chastain is in a limited ride over at Chip Ganassi Racing, and after the race handled himself very well. He understands that a Cup champion was in his playground and had an opportunity, and they got together. The one thing I did like was the support from the current owner of his 3-race deal, Chip
how about
Ganassi,
that?
getting
He fired
on Twitter
back on social media.
and he was supporting. He was very happy with what he saw from Ross Chastain, and even opened it up to the future possibilities of him being able to drive that 42 car.
I guess the question then becomes in that incident, and they tangled and got off the wall, and then a lot of folks felt Ross Chastain turned and hooked Kevin at the end. But I guess the bigger question is, why did Kevin feel like that was the time to make the move? Did he feel like that the 42 car was good enough to where if he didn't do it then he might not get another good opportunity, or what?
Yeah, well, 2 things. If you're going to hook somebody, get rid of the white gloves.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that kind of makes it show up.
Very, very, very important because your gloves give it away.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, I believe he was trying to take advantage of the lap car, knowing that was going to slow Ross's momentum down.
Because Ross had done it to him previously.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Which is perfectly fine.
Exactly right. So I think that was an opportunity right then and there. It wasn't a matter of Kevin thinking, I got 35 laps to go. I better get it done now because there's obviously plenty of time. You have 15 minutes of racing there at 35 laps, essentially. I just think it was an opportunity that Kevin said, and again, he could have gotten out of the gas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did he do anything wrong? Probably not. Not all accidents have a victim or someone to blame. You have a lot of participants.
That's where the phrase that's racing came
exactly,
from. Exactly.
Yep. And so I think for that event, there were definitely two participants that if they look back on it, both of them could say, I would do something different in the future.
I know it was great for Brad to get that victory at Darlington, especially. It was his first victory there in a race car. But in terms of the championship hunt, since that's not a regular Xfinity Series driver, you guys always take great pride in the Owners' Championship. How's the 22 car doing there?
Doing really good, solidly once you're in the playoffs with all the wins, you have to go. Once you get in the playoffs, now Austin Cindric's going to be in the car for the rest of the year to carry that 22
Boy,
team.
and did he have a quick exit.
And that's unfortunate for the 60 car guys. No matter who's in that car, Mike Kelly and them guys have been building good cars at Roush Fenway, and they have not. I think they've wrecked 15 or 16 times this year with 3 different drivers. It's been a tough weekend.
Yeah.
But the 22 is solidly in the Owners' Championship, and this will be the last year that the Owners' Championship will get to use Cup drivers. So it's kind of a little different philosophy.
Yeah, they're changing up the format for next year for sure. Justin Allgaier on top of the standings. He comes off the win at Road America and has a little bit of an issue. He left the pit box with the wrench in the back glass. Christopher Bell still leads the overall standings with 4 victories and playoff points there, but Justin Allgaier having a really good season. Elliott Sadler jumps back up to second because Christopher Bell there, you see at the top, had a bad day. He had some issues, and then a tire went down, and then another tire was rubbing, and he had not a very good finish at all, finished well toward the back of that field, and not a good day for him, so he drops down a couple spots. But he's perfectly fine for the playoffs as you see the standings there.
Yeah, I think again, if you look at that segment, I still believe Justin Allgaier and Elliott Sadler are the two that are going to make Homestead, and then it's a matter of experience or speed or both that gets the other 2 cars there with Christopher Bell at Gibbs. You know, and
Tyler Reddick had a really good day.
Yeah, and again, Darlington is that's his wheelhouse. He's going to be against the wall no matter where he goes.
Finishes 3rd.
And sometimes being against the wall at Richmond's not the best place to be, but Tyler's going to be there. So we're going to see a really good, strong shootout here as we work our way to the playoffs for the Xfinity Series in a week or 2.
One more quick thing on the Xfinity Series before we go. We're going to let you out of this segment, take you out of this segment with Rusty Wallace's conversation with Brad Keselowski after winning the Bojangles Southern 500. But as we go to Indy now, the Xfinity cars are headed there as well. We've got that aero package.
The high drag aero.
Yeah, that's got the ducts on the bottom, and we've seen a little bit of it at Michigan and at Pocono this year. I think it's a little bit different at Indianapolis. A year later, what can we expect? A lot of improved performance, a lot of guys being able to get away this time?
That's DUCTS, ducks.
Right, DUCT,
ducks.
like duct tape.
Not ducks.
Right, not quack, yeah.
So they're trying to keep, this is it's a preview version of what we're going to see a lot of, I believe, in the Cup Series at our 1.5 mile tracks, where we're trying to alleviate the aero advantage that the leader has. So it's a very high drag package, big honking spoiler. We got these ducts in the front that allow air to go through the nose and blows it out the front tires to try to keep the packs closer to where the guy up front simply doesn't have that aero advantage that we see.
Or at least not such a big advantage.
It's it. Well,
yeah.
the leader always has the advantage because he's the leader,
right?
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys found that out Sunday night.
Right. So the lead guy always has the advantage because he's going to win the race first. He's going to cross the start-finish line. But we're going to see a little bit of a preview from the Xfinity Series. We saw really good racing. Paul Menard was able to drag down and almost catch the winner last year. So without that package, that doesn't happen. And those guys are building really good cars, and
now they've had plenty of more time to work on it. Yeah.
So I think the competition is going to be a little closer with the really good cars.
Yeah, should be fun to watch. That's coming up this weekend at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. All right, we promise you a conversation that we had in Victory Lane on the Motor Racing Network. Rusty Wallace is our analyst at MRN, Hall of Famer. Brad Keselowski's car that he won with at Darlington was modeled after Rusty's car that he drove for Raymond Beadle, the 27 car, and those two had a chance to chat after the race on Sunday night.
You carried his colors this weekend. Rusty Wallace up in the MRN booth. What would you like to say and ask Brad Keselowski?
I'll tell you what, Brad, congratulations on what you did tonight. I'll tell you, watching that car go around the racetrack, it was so consistent and so fast all night long. I told the guys up here, I felt like I was watching my own kid drive. I was getting so excited, man. But, boy, that car looked beautiful on the racetrack.
Well, thank you. Well, this car's your baby, Rusty, and I'm glad to be able to carry on your legacy and to do it right and put it in victory lane. And so glad you could be here and be a part of this week's activities here at Darlington. What a special day, and thank you. That means a lot to me as well.
Well, thanks a lot, man. You drove like a champ tonight. There's no doubt about that. In one of the majors you won, this is like winning Augusta or something if we're going to compare it with golf. But what a great run, and I don't think you got a scratch on that car, do you?
No, I don't think so either. Maybe that's why we won. This is the first time I brought home a car at Darlington without a scratch. So cheers to you, Rusty. This one's for you, buddy.
I'll tell you. Thanks a lot, buddy.
I'm not blooming good, I'm blooming great. Put a shrimp on the barbie and sizzle my steak. Woo, I want that onion to bloom, and it get in my senses like a sonic boom. No rules, just right. So bold, so nice, and I'm so ready for that Outback steak tonight. Outback Steakhouse, that's what it's all about. Outback Steakhouse. Blooming great.
Are you a serious diecast collector? Do you have a favorite driver? Are you looking for a gift for a race fan? No matter what the question, the answer is always PlanBSales.com. Plan B has all the latest in diecast from Lionel and apparel, artwork, and other items for your favorite driver in NASCAR or other forms of racing. Go to PlanBSales.com, key your driver's name in the handy search window, and look at all the options. Your one stop for diecast and other motorsports collectibles is PlanBSales.com.
The roar of motorcycles takes over Daytona International Speedway October 18th through the 21st with the return of Biketoberfest. Racing action features top riders from CCS and ASRA as they take on Daytona's challenging 3.51-mile road course. Enjoy free demo rides from top manufacturers, stroll through the area's largest motorcycle marketplace, and enjoy Saturday's Hot Leathers fashion show and bikini contest in Harley-Davidson Thunder Alley. Marketplace admission, demo rides, and parking are free. For race tickets, call 1-800-PIT-SHOP or visit DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
I'm Kevin Harvick, and it's another Bloomin' Monday. Ask for your free Bloomin' Onion tonight at Outback Steakhouse. Now it's back to Woody Kane and Joey Meyer.
Little Joey is all jacked up about Bloomin' Monday. Go by and get that free Bloomin' Onion, another top 10 finish for Kevin Harvick. He is really costing them some Bloomin' Onions.
Are they mad? Or are they happy?
I don't know. I think they're pretty happy about it. I think
so.
this promotion has worked out really well for them. All right, we ended that segment talking about the Xfinity cars headed to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Cup cars are there as well. Last race of the regular season. It's kind of different because we've been at Richmond the past few years as the cutoff race, the final race. And there you want to think you have that short track atmosphere. You can move people if you need to. It's a whole different story at Indy.
Indy offers an opportunity for a dark horse to win the race.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Menard was able to do it with Slugger Labby and those guys off of strategy. Normally, we have very long runs, so we'll continue that with our stages. We'll have very few caution flags, assuming we don't have mechanical failures or tire issues like we had, 10 years ago.
It's been a while,
Caution every 10 laps because the tires were so bad, but we have a good tire now. The mechanical abilities of these cars, we're going to see really long green flag runs, a race very similar to Pocono, to where once you get out in front, then the way you can pass somebody or lose or gain track position is two places, on pit road and through strategies. And I think we're going to see that same play out at Indy. Personally, it's not one of my favorite racetracks because it's so difficult to get around there in a 3,400-pound race car because it's incredibly
because the turns
flat.
are so flat.
It's
huge.
so flat. And the downforce capability versus the speed. But that's what we do. We go from a place like we just ran at Darlington, the 1950s, to a similar track that was built out of bricks, and so we have.
But for a different style of car.
yeah, exactly. But so I think that's what you're going to see: strategies and cars that have raw speed do really well there.
Absolutely. All right, let's hear from some drivers and what they think about it. We've been working with the guys at JTG Doherty Racing all season long. Let's hear what they think about the Brickyard 400 coming up.
Indy is tough, and just not a place been able to get all the speed out of it that we need to. So still searching every time we go there. I felt like ORP was a good place for me, and in the ARCA series, I practiced a nationwide car there at the time, and was getting ready to go there for the first time in our full season.
The grandstands in Indy are so tall and so big, and obviously Bristol's a huge bowl. Indy's definitely not like that, but to that extreme, there's not a lot of wind going around because there's grandstands all the way around the racetrack, and you kind of sit down in it. So that's part of it. I think it just you start baking sitting on the pavement and not a lot of air movement. So, but we'll see when we get there. Maybe it'll be a little cooler. Horsepower is a big factor there, and having a good setup that allows the car to it's got to be somewhat agile because the corners are so quick, so you got to get the front end really carving there. But it comes down to a lot of horsepower around there. Track position, as always, it's tough to pass. So just a challenging race for sure.
I asked AJ there about the heat at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. How come it's so hot there? Because it's not like you're thinking, well, it's South Florida or something like that. And that's what he was responding to. Yep. We saw Casey Kane win it last year, had to go to the care center to get an IV. Kyle Busch wins there. And these guys are just wrung out when they climb out of the cars. It's just exceedingly physically demanding.
One of the things about that high drag package in the Xfinity car is it takes a lot of the air out of the windows of that car. The drivers tend to be a little bit hotter. The Cup cars, like you're saying, there's not a lot of wind blowing around that track because you're in a valley. The way the grandstands are designed, we tend to run a lot hotter. And again, it's a flat surface, so all the heat is radiating directly up. Whereas we have angles, the heat radiates in different directions.
At a bank track,
this sits here. You're basking in the heat of the asphalt all afternoon.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting race to see for sure. Our friends at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway have the coverage this weekend, so make sure you join them for that. It's going to be interesting to watch. One quick thing before we go. When it's a situation where it's a one-groove track, you mentioned pit strategy and pit stops and that kind of thing. Is there anything else you can do to help your driver at a one-groove track to get around somebody?
Build a very, very fast race car.
Very, very fast. Not just a little bit faster than the guy.
Fast cars go fast, and a faster car goes
faster.
There you go.
Yeah. But it's still very difficult to get around people there.
Pass
not too many passing zones, as we say.
No, you hope the guy coming off the corner is a little bit tight. You hope you can be in the gas a little bit longer, and that makes the long straightaways even better. You try to handle him between turns 1 and 2 or between 3 and 4.
All right, we'll see how it plays out this weekend. Don't forget NASCAR Live Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. NASCAR USA comes up Sunday for you at noon on the Motor Racing Network, 10 to noon, I should say. Make sure you're back here with us next Monday. I'm Woody. He's Joey. We'll see you right back here for another edition of MRN Motorsports Monday next week.